Hi, I'm Claudia Brown-Coulter with Pivotal Peace. I'm your go-to mediator for navigating divorce while parenting children with special needs. I am also a legal document assistant, LDA, based in the greater Los Angeles area. Today, we're talking about financial transparency in a divorce. And this is really important because if you choose to mediate your divorce, there's no discovery. If you choose to do a DIY divorce and you're using a legal document assistant to gather your paperwork to, put your paperwork together, you are telling the legal document assistant what needs to be placed on the paperwork, and they are simply recording that information. You need to disclose this information accurately because there is no discovery. There's no discovery in these types of things. So transparency is really important, and it needs to come from both of you. You might be a liar and a cheater. Fine. Just don't lie and cheat about this. Let's get through the process of divorce so that you can move on your way. Okay? So if you don't accurately disclose information, if you are hiding things, it's going to come back to bite you. It's going to drag out your divorce. It could vacate any judgments that happen. It's not a good thing. There could be penalties. You don't want to commit perjury. So as you are completing these forms, as you're looking at divorce and thinking about divorce, you want to gather all of the important necessary information related to your assets and debts or your liabilities. You want to make sure that you accurately record as best as you can everything you owe. Now, obviously, the market fluctuates, so things might not be exact down to a penny. That's okay. But you don't want to omit anything. You don't want to intentionally devalue or overvalue something. You want to get it as close as possible. You also want to make sure that it's not just, bank account balances. Do you have art? Do you have coins? Do you have tangible objects that are of some value, that if you sold them, they would be worth some money? You want to list those. That's an asset. And then in terms of your debts and liabilities, you may want to hide the amount of credit card debt that you have from your spouse. What are they going to do to you? Just disclose it. If you've been taking out loans in your spouse's name without them knowing, you shouldn't be doing that. But if you did that, this is your time to disclose it so it can get cleaned up and you guys can move on. Don't hide that stuff. When you are receiving your spouse's disclosure statements and supporting documents, so on the FL 142, you need to list all of your assets and debts. And there's also statements on there at various points in that form that say you need to provide supporting documentation. If you've listed something in this area, you need to provide the latest statement that goes along with this asset or debt that you've listed. Your spouse needs to get a copy of that as well. And when you do your income and expense declaration, you also need to be attaching proof of income. Your spouse needs to be seeing this as well. So when you are on the receiving end and you're getting this, look at it. Can't tell you how many people don't look at it. Oh, I already know. Look at it. Make sure nothing's missing. Make sure there's not a surprise on there that you didn't know about. Look for those things that you're like, that's an awful big debt, and they're saying that it's mine, and I have no record of this whatsoever. Double check. Really kind of read through that with a fine-tooth comb. And so a red flag is if you see something like that, or if you see something omitted, you need to bring it up right away. You need to talk to your spouse about that right away. If it's getting to the point where you really feel like they are not being honest, they are hiding some things, then you might need to escalate things where you're no longer kind of using a mediator. You can use a mediator for some things, and maybe there's other things which you have to go to court for. That's totally an option. You can use a legal document assistant for some things. If you need more advanced work and you need to hire an attorney, that's totally an option. You may need to get a forensic accountant so that they can comb through your spouse's financial background. Yes, that's expensive. But if that's what you need to do, then you need to be prepared that you might need to do that. It's not a bad thing. If you are really concerned about hiding assets, hiding debts, you're going to need to have somebody dig. You're going to need some sort of discovery at that point. So if you don't complete these forms, the court gives you a long time. Like they give you a 60-day timeline from the date the petition was filed to complete these forms. But not everyone complies with that. And usually if you ask the court to give you extra time to complete it, they will. People take advantage of this and they drag out the process, or they lie, or they just get paid under the table so they don't have to report income. Don't be that person. I say this all the time. Your spouse knows. Do you think they're going to roll over and just be like, oh, okay? So just be honest. You don't want to let go of that money. You don't want to pay any support. Be honest. And get untangled honestly so that you can kind of really close that door. And if you decide, I'm going to lie, the judge can impose sanctions against you. Anything could happen. One of the worst things that can happen, and it might not really matter to you so far, the worst thing that can happen besides a sanction is you're just continued to be connected to this person. You're continued to be pulled back into court. The drama, the saga is never ending. It's just cloud over your head. Get it off. Get this done. Get this monkey off your back and move on. And then, as you are, especially if you're in the stages of contemplating a divorce or you're setting up a new lifestyle for yourself, think about some financial tracking tools like Mint or other things like that where you can put in all of your assets. You can, connect your financial institutions. You can see everything that your bills that you need to pay and if you've paid them. So it's really more of a complete picture. You can look at your transactions and really have a good glance, at a glance, first glimpse, really see where your money is going. And if you're using something like that already, open that up to remind you of your assets and your debts so that when you go and record this information, it's all right there. You don't need to share passwords with your spouse if you don't already do that, but you need to be organized. This is the most challenging part of a divorce. Not emotionally challenging, but just mentally taxing, not because it's hard, but because it's a lot. So the easier you can make it on yourself, the better. Honest mistakes happen. When you make an honest mistake and you forget something, amend your documents. Include that. Immediately let your spouse know. We're not talking about honest mistakes here, though. We're talking about things that are intentional. Be intentional about being transparent, and you will have a faster, more amicable divorce. See you guys soon.